Welcome to the final part of this season. Joining me today is Arpan Mall, and today we are going to discuss about sense of humor and other related topics. So, last time we discussed about understanding people socially, we had merely scratched the surface, or as Arpan would say it was a profound ice breaking session. So, welcome to the show again, brother. Okay, so can you please give an elaborate intro to our topic today?
Certainly. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And finally, the last episode of this season, and we bring to you sense of humor. Now, sense of humor is something that is a very important tool that can be used to measure a person's intellectual strata, a person's level of understanding, his reasoning capacities, and could give us a comprehensive idea of how, where, when, and what kind of a schooling and a background he or she might have. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we would like to uh, uh, differentiate between these varying types of humor, as we could differentiate them as very good, good, average, and sometimes not so interesting or lame, and sometimes not at all interesting or very lame. So, ladies and gentlemen, what can be the what can be the reasons why we would have mentioned these above ideas and kept them in front of you? I believe that there are different levels to a person's humor. One of them, uh, so let's begin from the beginning. There is this part where a piece of humor should be non evasive. It should never hurt someone's sentiments, or it should never give them the idea that they are not invited to the conversation. The second, or it should be appropriate to at least all the people of the conversation, or ladies and gentlemen, it should be at least appropriate to the people of good understanding and reasoning capacities who are a part of the conversation. Third, the people, the humor should be instantaneous. That is the art of saying the right thing at the right time at the right place. And ladies and gentlemen, it is certainly some art that people have, that they could do everything at the right moment. The next, the use of humor naturally, and using it appropriately. It is it is an art that the humor should be spontaneously driven. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not an easy task to bring that to life. And the very last of the list comes that humor can or cannot be backed by a very good set of vocabulary. We say this because I believe that all people are part of the society, and even if people even if we could start dividing it, there would always be a percent of people that are of higher intellectual and reasoning capacities, and some of them might be a little low. So these are, in very brief, the varying five things that I would like to stress upon while saying that a piece of humor should have these above mentioned criteria all checked out. And uh, and ladies and gentlemen, these five or six criteria are what decide whether a piece of humor is a good or a very good sense of a very good piece of humor. In a similar fashion, when we start uh, checking out whether uh, it could have been better, or if it could have been worse, these criteria are the the measuring scales for whether we could better it, or uh, or maybe even uh, not so or maybe even worse in it, if I have the liberty to say. So so when these the deterioration of these 5 to 6 criteria begin, there starts there we know that that the sense of humor is deteriorating in whomever we witness.
All right.
And yes,
All
Brian.
right, so I'd like to go on to for a main event now. So the first topic which you have stated is about non-evasive humor. Slight story
Yes.
behind it. It's not an actual term, but my guest here came up with it somehow, like coincidentally. He changed the non-evasive term non-evasive tumor to non-evasive humor. Now, both these two things are like really different from each other. They differ a lot. But non-evasive humor actually refers to an inside joke in a company. And if you don't get it, you're somehow not allowed into that group. As of that, I'd like Arpan to continue what was he saying and give his views on this topic.
Right. Ariman, I believe that non-evasive humor is uh, is a kind of humor that everyone uh, is comfortable with, and they do not find it at all uh, something that makes them uncomfortable or makes them feel that they are unwelcome in the conversation. They are there, they are having a good time, and they realize that this particular person is making jokes, is doing a good job at making us laugh, but he or she is not trying to hurt our feelings, our sentiments in any way. That is what I believe is a non-evasive piece of humor.
All right. So, should we carry on to our next conversation? We're going to talk about the appropriateness of sense of humor and how does it affect your impression on others and on your personality. So, Arpan, would you like to start?
Yes, certainly. Appropriateness of the piece of humor. I believe it is a very essential part that it should be appropriate to most of the people of the conversation. And if it is not appropriate to all the people of the conversation, there uh, I believe that then I believe that it cannot be called a piece of humor, because if because humor that is that isn't appropriate to all the people, or uh, makes them feel unwelcome, or makes them feel like they do not belong to a particular part of the conversation, is the part where they start losing interest. So, if a person is welcome in the conversation, he or she needs to find that piece of humor appropriate. That is what I believe is appropriateness of the humor.
All right.
Of
So
the
I'd like to give you a scenario. Okay. So from ever since my childhood, I've always believed that I can always, get into this group if I, give them a part of what I know, a part of a knowledge regarding a certain topic of interest. So somehow when I grew up, okay, these there were these groups and they are taking in these guys. Okay, it's somehow the gist of the entire scenario is like that, that you have to like appease them, you have to impress them, you have to tell them some jokes, just so that you can like get accepted. So what is the difference between that scenario where people were like acting like intellectuals, they would like reward you for sharing such a good information with them, and how did it change to like can you do this joke, can you do this dare? So regarding that, how what is your group psychology, what is your views on group psychology?
uh, I believe that every group is has different people, and every person has a different frame of mind and a school of thought. And Ariman, I believe that this topic needs to be discussed in a video that we could make on social psychology and people's thinking. And I believe that in that kind of a scenario where we are actually discussing the group characteristics, there we can mention this and how they are how they differ, because right now I believe this is a little different from what we've started on.
All right.
So
All right. All right. All right. So a
my
follow-up
apologies.
question. No problem.
uh, uh, yes.
So, while you were talking about the appropriateness of a joke in a conversation, by looking at a point of view of the self, how does it, define your personality, and how does it affect your impression on the people who are surrounding you at that time?
Ariman, again we are um, I believe that this uh, how does this affect your view on the people around us, right?
No, no, no.
So
I was referring to like when you see, you have to know your audience, right? Whenever you're trying
yeah,
to
knowing
appease
your
them, yeah.
audience.
So how does it affect, does it make you like more open? You do have to be more open minded. Do you have to keep it to yourself? So what are your views on that regarding sense of humor?
I believe, Ariman, every person has a different frame of interpreting things that he or she hears, and uh, believe me, many a times we could stick to what their opinions are and not put out a joke, while the other times we can think about ourselves and how it makes us feel better if we try to crack a joke. But in both the scenarios, I believe uh, a little bit of a personal intellectual quotient is required, where you can analyze the situation. And right when I started in instantaneity of the instantaneously driven humor, and you need to keep your mind open, your thoughts and your reasonings open as to how and when that piece of humor would be applicable. There was this uh, there was this our freshers party, or our freshers reunion, where we got a time to have a very good time with our seniors and everyone. And they were the ones who arranged it, because our college was, for some reason, had cancelled it. I do not know why.
VIT
But
didn't even have
uh,
a welcome the freshers party.
yeah, yeah. But when it happened, so I kept on analyzing the situation and how it was going to be, if I went up and gave a performance, how it was going to be uh, appropriate to the situation. And then I came up with the theory that as a medical student, I would have to slog my back day and night until I could get medicine through my head. And that is, I believe, that is a very tiresome task to do, and I am battling it every day. So, but at that time, I picked up something that would really tell you about how a piece of humor can be appropriate. Here, I compared the two situations. There's this poem known as Aram Karo from Dr. Mr. Gopal Prasad Vyas, and it says that, and it goes like, um, इस दौड़ धूप में क्या रखा, आराम करो, which was absolutely contrary to the scenario that we are going to face when we are going to be uh, taking this uh, uh, going through this errand of trying to put our studies together for becoming a medical professional. So we I analyzed the situation, and likewise, I suggested that this was supposed to be the most appropriate thing that I could uh, do and could make anyone laugh. So uh, yes, yes. Please do share any of such events that you had, and you used your uh, reasoning capacities with that appropriation, and came up with a theory that could make someone or anyone laugh. If you have any.
Oh my god. Like I do have like I'd had some like sudden burst of logic and made up some jokes. Okay, so I don't think it would come as funny as like you narrate those stories. But once
No, no,
upon
no.
yeah, okay.
We would like to inspire our viewers at this point of time. So please do share.
All right. So what happened is that my brother once asked me, okay, like, how would it be like if a Hindu would go and visit Pakistan? And then I said that I don't think they would do much except they would just torture you and then portray you as a spy, and then they'll kill you. So it was like it was all at a moment, okay, because this is not the kind of stuff I usually say, but it was so appropriate at the moment. Like people were people around me just started to like they somehow were listening, okay, and two or three just started to laugh at it because it was narrated in such a way because there was a slight voice or organization there. It was the like the punchline of a joke. So it was, it worked. And there's some other jokes, I don't think it would be appropriate to narrate those jokes because I'll tell you, they're related to apples, and then it gets, a little bit weird after that. Another thing is,
Okay, okay,
yeah, okay.
okay.
And okay, I'll just narrate it. Okay, when it happened in class ninth when I was studying at Tiwari tutorials, we had an English teacher and he was trying to teach us about, comparative and superlative adjectives. And then he used to use our names for examples, and there was this example. Okay, uh, Ashutosh has sweet mangoes, Ariman has sweeter apples, and then he said that Rashi has, like some girl take it, she has like the sweetest apples, okay, and then some guy said it should have been oranges. So that is why it got dark. That's why it got dark after that. So
Yeah, yeah.
all
I
right,
understand.
it was so it was like I would shouldn't have said that. I'd really like to edit this part out because this, I don't think this suits the tone of the entire show. All right, so moving
Well,
on.
thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you so much. And yeah, yeah. Please do continue.
All right, so I just like to like move on because I don't think that joke, sounded well in my mind, but it didn't come off as good as I was thinking it to be. So I'll just move on. Okay, so
Yes, yes.
I'd really like to know about what are your views on the differences between the naturally driven humor and impromptu humor.
I believe, Araman, they could be uh, one and the same thing and yet be a little different. But it is about their because when a piece of humor is naturally driven, it can also be uh, I believe it can it can be naturally driven. That means it fits out in the part of the conversation where we are at. If I would like to say that cancer is the worst disease, right? That is a universal truth. But uh, when I would like to think it like this, like I believe the worst disease is some person I knew, let's say X. The worst person is X, and he is even uh, he is even he is doing a better job than in killing people than cancer. So that's I believe that he's the kind of humor here is a bit naturally driven. Of course, this mind you, this X personality could also is a fictional character, is a frictional character from we could say like Thor, not Thor. I am so sorry. like our friend from the movie Infinity War. What's his name? I remember
Who?
the
Like,
main villain,
oh, Thanos.
Thanos. Our friend Thanos is doing a better job than in
Oh,
killing
oh,
people.
oh, oh, oh my God. Okay, I got it. It was good. It was good. Yeah, I
He's
got
even doing a better job than cancer is.
it. Like,
With a
I'll be again opening a Pandora's box if I just happen to say that I think Thanos was kind of correct, because he was, in the end of the day, he was right. Okay, we humans, we living creatures, have been like, we are burning through our resources. Okay, and he was trying to push a reset button on us. So in a way he was correct, but I'd like to move on. Okay, I'd like you to move on from this topic. Okay,
This is
because
getting a little dark, Araman,
yeah,
don't you think?
it got dark at that point of the joke. Okay, so can you just move on after this, like?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I would like to suggest with before our dear viewers here that there are some of these hypotheses that I came up, and which tell which could um, which helped me to understand what kind of humor is more appealing to the audience. I would like to thank Mr. Anubhav Singh Bassi for his video on waxing. That is, I believe, it is a spectacularly framed piece of humor, and it is not even a piece of humor, it is an art that he has portrayed through words. And the kind of picture that he draws in that is absolutely amazing. And uh, if if our dear audience has not yet watched that, I would highly recommend you to watch that. And the last uh, uh, and the hypothesis that I came up with is that the audience is I would take on the intellectual side of the uh, on the intellectual side of the audience, I would say that people like a climactically driven humor. It should have climax. I've like if we see a staircase, it has many stairs. So it is like uh, one level after the other, and that is what I witnessed when I watched that uh, uh, piece of humor through Anubhav Singh Bassi from Waxing. That the very thing that he began from was that I am the strongest that anyone has ever seen. So, and his strength became his fear when finally the lady uh, from urban cab was finally going to wax him, and was going to she laid on that that carpet of waxing sheet
Tadpal.
on Yeah, the tirpal on Mr. Bassi. And but before they started warming it up, and he in that English dubbed
Subtitles.
video, yes, subtitles. I saw that he started shitting bricks. And it started elevating. I saw that there were three levels to this, and he said that he started feeling that he wasn't that strong, and after that, when the tirpal was laid on him, his soul escaped
No, no,
from
no.
his body.
What happened was that he didn't, mention the pain. He only said that the auntie counted to one, two, three, and then she pulled. Then I saw towards my window, and then I saw Yamdev's ride coming towards me in such a way that
With full speed, with
at
full
full
speed.
speed incoming, and it was such a.
Yeah.
And he said that Yamdev was back there. He was like, what? You left. You left
I
without me. You left without me. And then like it somehow personified the pain that he must have felt.
Yes, yes, yes.
Exactly.
His even his soul could not escape the kind of pain that he was going through, and uh, and it and the chariot of Lord of the God of Death came rushing towards him and said that I had to leave my master because you were in such a hurry. What have you done, my dear?
See, we have discussed this before, and I'd like to quote you on this. You said that these stand-up comedians, so they usually depend on a leveled structure. They usually lead
Yes,
up to the top of the mountain, and then they'll just
yes,
push
yes.
you off, because of the laughter rush. So, would you like to comment
Oh,
on the levels of of their speech, of their entire performance? Would you like to elaborate on that?
uh, I believe that these could stem from various phenomena. The humor that I believe that caters to this crowd of intellectuals is also based on three or even more things. I've seen that they carry a lot of figures of speech with them. They use figures of speech like I believe we all must have studied. There is this figure of speech called a simile, a metaphor, a personification, uh, not maybe not alliteration, and but maybe climax that builds up to a certain level, and then they give you a masterpiece of a humor. And that is what I believe is, then there are these things that constitute a very good level of or sense of humor or piece of humor for a very intellectually sound gathering or intellectually august gathering. And for the this is a hypothesis that I believe that an anticlimax or a anticlimactic piece of humor would be a little more interesting for the older audience. But I would request dear viewers, if we have any opinions that say otherwise, please do let us know. Thank you. And these are the two hypotheses, Ariman, that I believe are very uh, appropriate, or according to me. And these are what I believe should cover up and sum up everything uh, that we have seen for about humor in the last couple of days. And Arman, please do let me know if you have any further questions.
All
Uh,
right, all right, all right. So, we kind of made the transition from a level structure to all of these types of, what do you say, um, simile, alliteration. What is the collective noun for them? Can you remind me?
The figures of
Yeah,
speech.
obvious. Damn it. The figures of speech. Okay, so we made the transition to the figures of speech. Okay, and I'd like to ask you, like, how much, like, to what amount can all of these types of figures of speeches, like personification, alliteration, similes, metaphors, can they work on a joke? And does their entire significance, like, decrease as our age grows? Because, when we were younger, we would like to hear all these jokes where these objects would come to life. They were, we would say, like, hey, what did 0 say to 8? And and the person would say what? And then the person would say, nice belt. 0 to 8, nice belt. It worked.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it worked. At, like, it's a class 2 joke. I don't know. So uh, how much, like, how much has our, brains been around these types of jokes? Have we got used to them somehow, or we have just outgrown them?
I believe I remember that when I said that anticlimactic sense of humor could work on it is a hypothesis, but I believe that people with uh, with uh, with age and years of experience have seen so much variety in the kind of jokes uh, that they are the ones who actually decide whether it should be whether it should be funny for them or not.
Yeah,
And
obviously.
over the years when we keep listening to various different types of these humorous humorous conversations, we tend to decide, and sometimes we tend to become selective, and we tend to get specialized. Like in a few days back, I was writing some jokes on pathologies of human beings, and uh, some of those if uh, I would like to read out to the audience. I do not know how much of these would be appropriate, but I would just
Yeah,
like to give this a try.
we aren't censored yet. They had this joke where the person said, like, it was stating as a letter. The person just said, to the guy who stole my antidepressants, I hope you're happy.
Wow.
It was. And I'd also like to, I've got some hold. So right now, as we were kids, jokes meant, like, it was a entire universe which was populated by some anthropomorphic animals, some mythological creatures, and any humanoid beings. So it was like, have you ever read the Panchtantras? They were all these stories regarding animals who could talk to each other. And if I could remind you, there was a story where a tortoise asked two seagulls to, like, give him a ride to another lake via a stick, and he could hold it onto them using their mouth. Remember that story?
Ariman, please enable me to share my screen, and probably all of our viewers could see these jokes.
All right, all right, all right. Just wait a minute, okay? Bolo.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this joke is that I wrote on uh, the hue of the coronary artery disease, and the joke is like this. Some say to the doctor, "I feel a tightness in my chest and an elevated heart rate." Some say, "Doctor, I am closely bred to indigestion and nausea." Some say, "Doctor, I feel unsteady and weak headed." Some some do not complain, just inform the doctor he passed away this morning.
It was kind. It got dark, bro. It was dark. It is. I think it's works more like a joke, inside joke for your entire college, but on a
Yeah.
public scale, you just cannot say that. Okay, it would be so rude. Actually, we are discussing jokes like that here today. I don't know what's the theme.
That, and that's why I said that I got a little specialized at that time. So I believe that people, after seeing so much humor, may tend to get a little specialized in how they think, how they feel, and what kind of humor appeases them or makes or appeals to them or makes them happy.
Obviously. So another thing which I'd like to say is that I've on our background I have Homer Simpson from the series The Simpsons. Okay, he's known for a lot of
Yes.
jokes in his series. They have a long-running series. It has been like 30 like gone out for 31 seasons right now. Possibly the longest running televised show possibly. So in one of those episodes, the titular character Homer Simpson, like he picks up this $20 bill, and then a sound from his brain comes. Okay, like he wants to have some peanuts. Okay, and then Homer's like, "Oh my God, how it's only $20 bill. Where are the peanuts?" So Homer's a sound from Homer's brain comes, and it says like $20 can buy many peanuts. And then Homer says with his mouth, "Explain." Then Homer's brain then says that money can be exchanged for goods and services. And then it comes, and then Homer dawns on the realization that how the concept of the entire money thing works. So it was just it's a small shout out from my side to The Simpsons because it's one of my most favorite series and it's given me so many memorable moments here. Another some moments are that once he came up on the stage and he said, and while holding a beer keg, he said, "To alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems." So it's also one of those most famous lines. Another inside joke is that, hey, remember back in our sixth standard, we had this stunning joke where we would lean into a guy and then we'll ask him, "Hey, can I tell you a secret?" Then the guy would be like so anticipated, he would get hyped up, and then he would lend his ear, and then we would say, you know, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So and the sheer the it was so nonsensical. It became a running joke, and I remember I told this joke to you, and then you shouted the same joke to the person who was sitting right opposite to our entire corridor, and then that guy even started to laugh at it. It actually became a punchline in St. Francis at some point because everybody was trying to come up with its variations and all that stuff. So now, Arpan, I'd like to drive this conversation to possibly our last topic here. We'd like to tell our people about the anticlimactic scenario, the high to low sense of humor, which is like mostly preferred by elder people. It's like an hypothesis, but I'd like to, if you could put two or three words on it, it would be great.
So I believe that uh, um these this kind of anticlimactic humor appeals to the elderly audience where uh, we could I believe that when these
You're at a loss of
uh,
words.
yeah, I am at a loss of words.
Okay, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sad and so uh, grieved to have disappointed you at this moment. But
Okay, no
uh,
problem. We'll just skedaddle through it. And yeah, that's it. Like, I think we have approached the end of our entire session. We broke down so many things. We went through improvisations, like spontaneous sense of humor. How does it, get you to a group, something like that? Group psychology we discussed. Along with that, we shared some jokes, but they were somehow they were to belonging to some. They had some bad taste to it, and then we discussed their significance using figures of speech, and then we started with non-evasive humor, not humor, it's humor. So I think Arpanwal, we have broke down the entire sense of humor. Okay, we have seen like how people perceive a joke, how does it like matter in the long term. So right now I'd like to ask you to give an ending statement, concluding statement, and then we can finally close out our show.
And finally, I would say that a person who has a very good sense of humor, or I believe, is a person who might possibly be the best humorist that I've ever seen, has to have one has to have this one quality, that he or she has what it takes to take a joke on themselves. Because if if we think that we can uh, push jokes on other people and commodities for that matter, why can't we take a joke on ourselves and laugh with the crowd, and uh, see how much there is more to life than actually making fun of people. Sometimes you just need a little bit of patience, and where you can actually, and perhaps if you might have the right words, you could also use it to better their course of the joke. Because I believe that life is all about learning, and life has taught me that I need to learn more about this topic myself. And thank you, Araman. It has been a wonderful evening, a wonderful session, and thank you all of our wonderful audience. You have been a most passionate and a patient audience, and this is thank you to all who watched this.
All right, guys. So we had a wonderful session today. Thank you, Arpanmul, for coming on to my show. Possibly, I think this is the final for this season, but I don't know. Plans change, in the short term. So that's it, guys. It's just to stay happy. Okay, be a little nicer to each other, and you see the world will you around you would change if you like perceive jokes. You live more freely. So thank you, guys. This was Arvind Mishra and Arpanwal, and we are signing off. Thank you.